taking their fight against cyberbullying to court. They allege they were targeted with online threats and false allegations about how their son disappeared. And as we hear now from CTV's Sarah Plowman, 10 months later, they say it's still going on.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Dylan Ehler disappeared in May. The 3-year-old was in his grandmother's backyard in Truro. Despite an exhaustive search, he hasn't been found. His parents say cyberbullying has hindered their search.
Of hundreds of people talking bad about you, saying you killed your son or you had something to do with it. How many people are going to want to come and help them family members?
They blame Facebook groups, now named in a civil action. The couple hopes the judge will order the groups to be shut down and award them damages under a new cyberbullying law brought in following the death of Rtea Parsons.
There are 2 Facebook groups in particular that we're trying to get shut down.
Tom Hurley is one of the administrators for one of the groups.
I feel bad for them. I really do. But they also got to remember that we're not the only ones doing it. The only reason we're here today is because we didn't hide behind fake accounts like everybody else is doing.
Hurley's page has already been taken down, but the couple worries it won't be permanent.
Ultimately, they're able to open it and close it whenever they want at this point. And so we're looking for an order that they can't do that anymore.
Like I said, I'm sorry that the family is going through that. Our intentions were to try to help them find Dylan and figure out what we can do next and all that stuff there. And it was going good from the beginning. And then something turned somewhere.
Dylan's parents would rather be focusing on their priority, finding their son.
Find answers or closure or, whatever the case may be. But for me, it's to close it down and to actually try and help this little boy. That's what it's all about, is a little boy.
The matter is scheduled to be back in court April 6th to set a date for a hearing. None of the allegations has been proven in court. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Truro.
Hearing tonight for the first time from the parents of the toddler who has been missing in the Truro area for more than a week now. They say they are heartbroken but still hold out hope that little Dylan Ehler will come home. They're speaking exclusively with CTV's Suzette Beliveau.
3-year-old Dylan Ehler was so excited when he got a new bike on his birthday last month.
Look at him, he's too funny.
Memories his parents are holding on to right now.
I remember that day so well. He was off that bike and then into another person's yard on their real motorbike that same day, just in like 4 seconds. He was that fast. He was just non-stop. He was very, very happy child.
Dylan Ehler was last seen a week ago on Wednesday. He disappeared from his grandmother's yard in Truro after she became distracted for a moment. That night, Dylan's boots were found in 2 separate locations along the brook and Salmon River that runs near her property. Police conducted an extensive search and recovery effort for the toddler. They used many resources, including some new technology. Yesterday, they launched a mannequin into the brook and river to find new clues. The dive team will return to the water with a side sonar scanning device, a tool they hope will provide them with more information. The toddler's parents are grateful for everything that's being done to help bring Dylan home.
We didn't expect the outpour to be as big as it was we didn't expect people to reach out like they have been and to help as they have been. It's a small comfort that people are out there helping and, want to bring him home as much as we do.
Dylan's parents say their 3-year-old was a real country boy. He loved to run, play in the dirt, and was always on an adventure. Ashley and Jason say their son's enthusiasm was contagious.
He is the most outgoing little boy I've ever seen, and he just blows my mind every day with all the things that he does.
He's one of them kids that never gave up. It didn't matter what he was trying to do. If he hurt himself, he'd always get back up and he'd try until he did what he was going to do. It was amazing.
Like many children, Dylan's favorite TV show was Paw Patrol. He loved to play with toy trucks and planes, and every day he would make his parents read to him. The Cat in the Hat was Dylan's favorite.
He would open it up on his own and he would go, cock-a-doodle-doo, and it's one of my favorite things. He'd get to
As they try to deal with the pain they are feeling, Dylan's parents are holding on to hope.
It feels like day one over and over and over and over. I just want him to come home.
And a plea for a miracle.
We're just completely heartbroken and afraid, but we're remaining hopeful that somebody will bring him home. There will be a miracle and he'll come home.
A miracle that many are hoping for too. Now, Dylan's family says it's very hard to put their feelings into words right now, but they are eternally grateful for all the support they have received during this very difficult time. And Steve, they felt it was important to share with everyone how wonderful and energetic their little boy was. Steve.
Thank you, Suzette. CTV Suzette Belli before us tonight in Truro.
Continue in Truro today for 3-year-old Dylan Ehler, who was first reported missing on Wednesday. Truro police say search and rescue teams returned to the search area at 8:30 this morning. CTV Suzette Bellivo is live in Truro today. Suzette, what can you tell us?
Good afternoon, Amanda. Well, we're here at the Truro Police Station right now, and this is where Search and Rescue Command has been shifted and repositioned today. Yesterday, of course, we were along the banks of the Salmon River in the baseball field area near where Dylan went missing on Wednesday. But today they decided to move their focus here, of course, as the search turns into a recovery effort. So search and rescue teams, police, they're all working out of the Truro Police building today. Now, I spoke with police just moments ago, Amanda, and they tell me that today their recovery efforts are focused on the Cobequid Bay area. So the Salmon River, after it moves out of Truro, it flows into the Cobequid Bay, and that's the area where the DNR helicopter is providing aerial support today, as well as ground search and rescue. They're there as well today, and they expect to spend most of the day in that area. So that's where they will be focusing on. So just to give you a bit of background, Amanda, as we mentioned this morning as well, 2 of Dylan's boots were found Wednesday night. They were recovered, one in a brook near where he was last seen, near Queen and Elizabeth, and the other boot was found where the brook flows into the Salmon River near the CN rail bridge, and that was Wednesday night. Yesterday, their search didn't find any evidence yesterday, so that's when police said they made the difficult decision. They spoke with family and made the difficult decision to move from a search effort to a recovery effort for Dylan. So again, Amanda, today the focus on the Cobequid Bay, where it meets and where the Salmon River flows into that bay, and we will continue to follow this. There is another police update expected around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and we will have more tonight on CTV News at 6. Amanda.
Suzette, thank you. Missing 3-year-old boy in Truro. A dive team is being brought in to help in the ongoing search for a missing 3-year-old boy in Truro, Nova Scotia. Dylan Ehler has been missing since yesterday afternoon. He was wearing a green jacket with patches and a fur hood, camo pants, and bluish rubber boots. Search and rescue groups as well as first responders are scouring the region by ground and air in hopes of finding the little boy. CTV Suzette Bellivo is live in Truro. Suzette, what's the latest?
Good afternoon, Amanda. It is certainly a cold and wet morning as the search continues for a missing 3-year-old boy, as you mentioned. I was just speaking on the phone with the boy's grandfather. He tells me he feels helpless right now, that this is just awful what the family is going through. The grandfather told me that the 3-year-old boy was with his grandmother at the time yesterday. The boy loves to run. He's so fast, and just like that, he was gone. Now, Amanda, as you mentioned, divers were brought in. There is a Zodiac here behind me. This is where a search and rescue command is set up. It's near the place where the boy was last seen yesterday afternoon, just after 1 o'clock, around the Queen Street and Elizabeth area right now. So there is EHS here, fire, search and rescue, police. Some vehicles have come and gone over the last hour or so, but there is still a significant amount of vehicles here right now. We haven't seen the DNR helicopter for quite some time. I believe the last time might have been around 10 o'clock or so this morning. Again, Amanda, as you mentioned, the boy was last seen wearing a green jacket with patches, camo pants and rubber boots as well. But again, the family telling me, the grandfather telling me, this is just devastating for them right now. They feel helpless, but the boy loved to run, loved to play and have fun. The grandfather also told me, Amanda, that the last time he saw his grandson Dylan was on his 3rd birthday just a couple weeks ago on the 17th of this month. So we will continue to follow this for you and have more tonight on CTV News at 6. Amanda.
Okay, Suzette, and we of course will provide any updates we receive.
Afternoon, the Truro Police Service received a call to the area of Queen Street and Elizabeth Street regarding a missing 3-year-old boy who was later confirmed to be Dylan Ehler. Dylan was at his grandmother's residence on Queen Street playing outside. His grandmother became briefly distracted and turned around for a moment, and when she turned back, Dylan was no longer in the yard. Patrol officers arrived within 4 minutes of the first call. We began to gather information and evidence, photo of Dylan, description, area of where he was. Officers did a quick neighborhood canvass. We called our K9 unit to respond. He was there very quickly and began to track in the area. We did an urban search very quickly of the neighborhood, which would have been house-to-house searches, garages, sheds, composters, anything that a small child could crawl into. From there, we determined, due to the age of the child, we wanted to get search and rescue responding very quickly, so we contacted Colchester Ground Search and Rescue to respond. We also reached out to EMO to provide air support with a Department of Natural Resources helicopter. Those were done very quickly. We also engaged EMO to put out an alert on the provincial system, which was done. It was a non-intrusive alert, which meant it did not go to cell phones and activate that way, but it went to all social media and the government sites and all media sites. We put out bolos, which are beyond the lookout for us locally, and then began to institute an urban search with Ground Search and Rescue. Following that, later on in the evening, we turned, Search and Rescue turned their efforts to looking in the riverbed, so Truro Fire Service attended. There's a quick moving brook, Leper Brook, that runs parallel to Elizabeth Street. The water is very high there this time of year and it's moving fairly quickly. Firefighters did go into the river, probably chest height, and they were searching the river, and at that point in time, about 20 after 7, we found a rubber boot belonging to Dylan. It was confirmed by the family that the boot did belong to Dylan. From there, we concentrated our efforts with the helicopter and more ground-intensive searching in that area. And the firefighters then found a boot at about 7 minutes to 9 last night, further down the brook, nearing the mouth of the Salmon River where the two meet. From there, we still continued searching all night. Ground Search and Rescue and Truro Police were on scene all evening, all throughout the night. Early morning hours, around 3 o'clock this morning, Halifax Ground Search and Rescue relieved Colchester from the first operational period. So we're now into operational period number 2. This morning, the DNR helicopter was back in the air. We also requested the provincial dive team, which arrived early this morning. The divers have been in the water intensively around the brook where the boots have been found, and they're in the water currently and working up and down that brook and into the Salmon River. So that's where we are right at this point in time. We've been in close contact with the family, supporting them. The community support and support from the businesses here locally have been fantastic. We've had tons of food, tons of well-wishing, lots of people wanting to help, wanting to get involved with the search. Early on, as you can appreciate, the neighbors and everybody were very much involved getting out there and helping, which is great. But at the recommendation of Search and Rescue, we would like to ask people not to get involved in that regard. When people are untrained and they do try to help search, oftentimes they miss clues, maybe trample over evidence, or maybe become a risk of falling in the raging water themselves. So we're just asking people to show support, prayers, and thoughts for the family, and not to get involved with actually physically coming on site to search.
Dylan Ehler is burned into the minds of Truro residents. For over 24 hours, dozens of people from police to neighbors joined in the extensive search for the rosy-cheeked, brown-haired toddler. Truro Police Chief Dave McNeil says it only took seconds for him to disappear from his grandmother's yard.
Dylan was at his grandmother's residence on Queen Street playing outside. His grandmother became briefly distracted and turned around for a moment, and when she turned back, Dylan was no longer in the yard.
Police arrived on scene within a few minutes after 911 was called. The search and rescue operation quickly evolved, and an extensive range of resources was called in, from the K9 unit to ground search and rescue and air surveillance by helicopter. and then on Wednesday night.
We found a rubber boot belonging to Dylan. It was confirmed by the family that the boot did belong to Dylan. From there, we concentrated our efforts with the helicopter and more ground-intensive searching in that area. And the firefighters then found a boot further down the brook, nearing the mouth of the Salmon River where the two meet.
The waterway is near Dylan's grandmother's home. McNeil says the search continued throughout the night, with efforts concentrated on Leper Brook and Salmon River. The RCMP underwater recovery team also assisted, searching the bed of Salmon River with an underwater camera throughout Thursday afternoon. Police say the extensive search has not provided any new clues or information, and after staying in close contact with Dylan's family, they're now in a recovery stage. Police say an Amber Alert wasn't issued because foul play is not suspected. Alexa McLean, Global News, Truro.